Hello and welcome to another episode of Retrospective Gaming. In this episode I am reviewing Autumn Leaves. Autumn Leaves is a mod for Fallout New Vegas, and this is going to be a bit different from my other reviews. Since this is a story mod, I'm not going to talk about graphics or gameplay because it's essentially the same. I'm going to focus on the story, the characters, and the atmosphere, since that is what's most important about this story mod. And you are warned, there are minor spoilers in this review. Now, here is my review of Autumn Leaves. Now, before the Great War happened, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on, civil unrest, riots, and people panicking, and this worried a lot of influential people, a lot of intellectuals, so they decided to get together and create a vault where they can store all of the world's knowledge, all of the best books, whether it's biology or books from great authors, just the best of the best, and keep it in this vault for future generations. And this vault is called Hypatia. And the individual that was in charge of this vault, Professor Cartwright, created a group of robots with different personalities and different functions for two reasons. One, so that he can have some companions, and more importantly, two, so that they can spread the knowledge and guard the vault. Now, this is where your character comes in. 200 years later, you get a message in your Pip-Boy to visit this library. So you go inside and you check the place out, and as soon as you go in there, you meet a robot called James. He is the guide. He's the one that shows people around. He tells you the different services and where to go if you need something, this and that. He's a guide. And he asks you a weird question about your opinion on murdering people. He's just odd like that. He's very curious. And he tells you about everything, and you start to walk around the vault and explore it. But something happens. As soon as you start exploring, you run into Professor Cartwright's dead skeleton. He's been dead for a while. He's under a bookcase. So you go to James and you ask him about that, and he doesn't know what happened, so you have to solve this mystery. But there's more to it. There were other people that visited this vault before you, and they've all left traces of their different experiences, whether it's notes, holotapes, or something else, and you have to play a detective. You have to figure out what's going on, all of the crazy shit that happened in this vault, and on top of all of this, you'll have to deal with the robots in this vault and their different personalities. Will they help you? Will they hurt you? Will they try to get in your way? How will they react to you? Being a detective isn't an easy job. Someone has to figure out what the fuck's going on in this place, and that person is you. This is your mission in Autumn Leaves. Now, when I first played this mod, and I was only 30 minutes in, and I figured out that you're only going to be communicating with the robots, I thought to myself, well, how the fuck is this going to work? They're not going to have any personality. It's going to be boring. It's not going to work out. I was dead wrong. I can admit it. I was wrong about this mod when I first played it. This mod is fantastic. The cast of characters, aka the robots, they have their own personalities, and what's crazy about them is they do have their own personalities, and they're sort of on the edge of humanity. They're almost like a human, but they're not quite there. And you'll notice it when you talk to them and how they react to the fact that they're robots, but they're sort of like humans, but not quite there. And they know this, they're self-aware. And watching them deal with this dilemma in their own ways, it was very interesting. For example, Roland, one of the robots, he's a prick. He's an asshole. He always makes fun of you, and he goes out of his way to try to get on your nerves and to try to be a burden whenever you're trying to do something. That's just the way he is. He's funny, he has a lot of funny lines, and he's my type of prick, but still, he's very annoying. But there's something about him. He thinks he has a soul. Yeah, that's right, a robot that thinks he has a soul. And the maintenance robot in the basement sort of looks down on him in a smug way about it. Sort of like, this motherfucker really thinks he has a soul? Is he fucking retarded? I'm paraphrasing, but I like the maintenance robot. He was a cool character too. But it was very interesting. It was awesome dealing with all these different robots that are self-aware. Self-aware fucking robots. And another example, Helena, she is in charge of the clinic, and she's very insecure. She is always doubting herself and her abilities, and the conversations that your character has with her, you talk to her about if she can handle working with humans, if she can understand her feelings or humanity, if she's just capable of doing her job in an efficient way. And there's more to it though. It's almost like a character study of yourself, what happens. There's a lot of philosophical stuff that you can get out of this mod. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but this is my favorite part of Autumn Leaves. Your interactions with Helena throughout this story. The way you interact with her, and the way she tries to study you the whole time, and what she does to try to make you think about your past actions and all of that, and the way she does it. I'm not going to tell you how, but that was my favorite part. Helena is a deep character. She's going through a lot, and once you start to get further into the mystery and what happened to the people that were in that vault and all the other stuff, it really starts to open up with all these characters, especially Helena. And there are more robots with unique personalities and dilemmas in this mod. I'm just doing my best not to get carried away and spoil all of it for you. When you explore the library and start reading the books, you'll notice that some of them are references to older games, like I have no voice module and I must process my dread, and 20 Blessings of Vivek. I'll let you guess on what games those are referencing. Now, there is something very important that I could not forget to mention about this mod. There is very little or no fighting. This is not a mod that is focused on combat. You can choose to not fight at all in this mod, and that's the path I went down. This is a mod that is focused on character interaction, the story, the dialogue, the characters, and what your choices are. Fallout is nothing without choices and consequence. Fallout is nothing without your character being able to influence any situation. And I'm happy to tell you that Autumn Leaves keeps this tradition. When you talk to people, there's different skill checks. There's actually more than I thought. There's a lot of dialogue, and your character can influence the way that someone thinks or one of these robots react. For example, you could be a prick to Helena and just tell her, you know, you're just a fucking robot, that's just the way it is. There's nothing soul searching, there's nothing deep about it. You're just incapable of doing your job, and you're incapable of dealing with humans because you are a robot. And this could be looked at in different ways. You can see it as a dick move, as you being an asshole or evil, or you can just see it as telling the truth and being blunt, being neutral, you know, being in that gray area, not kissing someone's ass or being overly nice, but not being a prick, just telling it the way it is. So there's different meanings you can get out of everything, and that's one thing that I try to look for in anything related to Fallout. I just don't want something that's completely black and white. I could deal with it in little doses, but I always want more meanings to the choices. And in that regard, I think Autumn Leaves does a good job. This mod has a lot of interesting characters, a lot of deep characters. Think about it, these robots are trying to grow, they're trying to learn, even though it should be impossible when you look at it on paper because they're robots. But since they have a little bit of humanity in them and they're almost like humans, can they grow? Can they learn from their mistakes? Can they think outside of what they're programmed to do? And as you progress further and further into Autumn Leaves, and you learn more about the robots, and you figure out what happened to the people that came into this vault before you did, and you learn more about Professor Cartwright, what happened to him, what was he thinking about before he passed, and what happened, what actions led to this, what was he thinking about the robots, and what do the robots think about him, and more. It's just very engrossing. From beginning to end, I wanted to know more, I wanted to figure out what happened, and it almost ended too soon. I wanted this mod to be longer. That was my experience with it. Now, before I tell you what I didn't like about the mod, I have to praise a couple of more things: the soundtrack and the voice acting. The voice acting is excellent. I don't know if the people that did the voices are pros, amateurs, or just people that they got off the internet, some random dude. I don't know. But they did a fantastic job. You can tell that they gave a fuck about their characters. And the soundtrack is excellent too. It works, it fits in the background, it's very ambient, and there's a lot of piano tracks. And I'm fine with that because the piano is one of my favorite instruments to listen to. Now, I've been gushing over this mod, I've been saying a lot of great things about it, and that's how I feel. I'm not going to bullshit you. If I like something, I like something. But nothing is perfect, and I do have some criticisms. Number one, in some areas it can be confusing, and it did not happen a lot. But for example, in one area you had to get this item so you can open up these vents. But when you get this item, I thought that it was an item in my inventory and I just had to equip it and use it. And I was running around trying to figure out where the fuck it was because I knew I had it. But it ended up being an item in my keyring, so I didn't have to equip it. I could just get the item and open up the key vents, but it was kind of confusing because it made you think that it was an item in your inventory, or that's what I thought. And my last criticism is I wish the maintenance robot would have had more character development and more time. He's an important character, but by the time you find him, you're halfway through the mod. And I think that the character James is kind of boring. I don't think he's a bad character, but I think he was given too much importance in the story. I know why and I understand it, but I would have loved to seen that time that was spent on James, or the effort that was put into his character, just be put into the maintenance robot, because I'm not a big fan of James. He's the weakest character in the lineup for me. And I'm not saying that's a terrible thing because it's a great mod, but that's just my criticism. But overall, I recommend this mod. It's for Fallout New Vegas. You should download it. Kudos to the person that worked on this mod. I think his name is Baron Von Cheetu on Twitter. Kudos to the voice actors. Kudos to everyone involved. You did a great job. Check this mod out. Now, before I end the review, I want to tell you about something very important, and this isn't talked about much. Now, I did a video almost a year ago about some suspicious stuff going on with Bethesda and one of the DLCs for Fallout 4. I think it was called Dead Harbor or something like that. And one of the quests in that mod was eerily similar to Autumn Leaves, even though Autumn Leaves came out way before this DLC. And I'm going to link an article in the description where the person that was in charge of this mod, Baron Von Cheetu, he wrote an article about it, talking about the comparisons and giving his thoughts. So I want you to read it. I still believe that someone in Bethesda or whoever the fuck copied this mod and it's bullshit, and they should give the people involved in Autumn Leaves credit so that this mod can get more attention. Because if you're gonna take ideas, then you should fucking give credit where it's due. That's bullshit. So check out this article. I recommend it, and you can make up your own mind. You can disagree with me or agree with me, but that's what I think. I think there's some shady shit going on, so check it out. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think. If you want to leave a comment, go ahead. You know how to get into contact with me. You know my Twitter. You know where I'm at. Have a great day.